We're all becoming increasingly aware of the need to have a healthy, safe and attractive place in which to live and work. Last November, the City Council asked the people of Sheffield to help it draw up a charter for the environment. This video represents a cross-section of your views, thoughts and suggestions about how to make Sheffield a more attractive place in which to live.
People are beginning to be aware that it affects them.
I just want it to be a better place for children to grow up in.
Well, I use recycled paper now for writing letters to my friends.
I think they need educating, basically. If you can do that in a positive way, I think you'll be able to start seeing a few changes about.
There's so much that we put in our waste bins that can be recycled.
I think it's right that people should take an interest.
I had my car converted to unleaded petrol, but I must admit I'm not taking it as serious as I think I should be.
There seems to be a lot more cars and motorcycles and buses as well. I don't think it's a particular problem.
Since the deregulation of buses, there's a lot more buses, but they don't necessarily provide a better service. The thing that most frightens me is that whatever we're doing to the environment, it's our children that are going to have to cope with it, our children and our grandchildren. And once you have children, they're the most precious thing to you, and you don't want to leave them with a mess. Well, one of the things I find most difficult is the congestion with the buses in the high street. There's queue after queue after queue of buses. The problem in High Street especially, with all the buses and vans, children are down at the exhaust level, especially children in buggies, pushchairs. And when you're waiting to cross the road, it's the exhaust comes straight out at their face level.
I drive a car, but when I come into town shopping with the family, we don't want to be dodging cars and buses all the time. So what's needed are more pedestrian areas to get people away from all the traffic.
The only way to improve things is to have a better public transport system, possibly the Supertram project.
The rivers certainly could be better. I mean, even out in the country, the little streams, which you can't understand why they're so polluted, obviously are.
Well, it's the firms who'll not fork out the money to buy equipment to clear the waste away before it goes into the rivers.
We now haven't got the pollution from industry like we used to have.
Over years things have improved with air pollution, but there's still a lot of problems.
The Stocksbridge Engineering Steels has set a fine example by the work they've done.
The best steels, the cleanest steels, are made in a clean works and in a clean environment. We know we've cleaned up the air. We have done quite a lot with the environment, the scenery, the surroundings. There's still some work to do in the area of noise. Steelworks can be noisy places. And we have been working hard and are dealing with that particular problem. We set about a planned program of tree planting, and we've already planted about 30,000 trees. Within a couple of years from now, we expect that number to have reached 100,000.
The green belt around any city is worth preserving.
In Sheffield, there are so many lovely green open spaces, and they want looking after, so that everyone can enjoy themselves.
Owners of dogs think they've got the right to let the dogs go on green areas, and they shouldn't.
It's not the dogs that want attention, it's the owners.
If you've got a toddler who's just learnt to walk and you don't have a lawn of your own and you want to let them run about, there aren't places where they can do that.
It's down to council really to do something about dogs fouling grass in parks and all green areas, because I mean their workers have got to cut that grass. I mean, I can sympathise with people what's got dogs. They have got to do it somewhere.
People who actually own a dog, who think they're responsible enough to own a dog, should be responsible enough to clear up the messes it makes afterwards.
Why not take the dogs on their own gardens and then clean it up, instead of bringing them down here and leaving it on the field?
If they do eat any of the stuff, they get it on the fingers, and children are always putting the fingers in their mouths. It can cause this blindness, which it might be a large incidence or not, but if it's your child that gets it, it is absolutely tragic.
Oscar 15 receiving.
Over.
Yes, pass him over, John.
The first one is from a Mrs. Aldcroft from Begg School, Begg Road at Shire Green. It's a nursery first and middle school. There's a dog straying on the school premises.
I actually saw one lady the other day and I congratulated her. She came out with a couple of plastic bags and put one on her hand and picked up the muck and put it in the bag. And I said, that's brilliant. I've never seen anybody do that before. And the number of piles I've seen all around, she must be the one in a million, I should imagine.
You just never see street cleaners anymore. I mean, we asked a question on a visit at Town Hall about this, and they told us there were 140 street cleaners for the whole of Sheffield.
I think all the evidence suggests that if you can keep the place clean and tidy and looking good, people will keep it like that.
The litter's not the council's fault, it's the fault of the people who throw it on the streets.
Take it in lorries, tip it over there, and then it's out of the way.
I don't think we can be forever sort of burying rubbish, just sticking it in the ground and leaving it there.
October, it's an ugly sight and it attracts all sorts of vermin.
We can't go on just dumping this enormous volume of rubbish which every household produces. By definition, a combined heat and power will double the efficiency in terms of energy use from about 35% to 70%, which will be a really, really big breakthrough.
Of course, the other advantage to the sort of scheme that's running at Bernard Road is that you're actually recycling, because the heat that's produced from the fire isn't just burnt off and you know, not made use of. I mean, it's actually generating power to heat water and to heat homes and offices in the area.
Well, it strikes me that scrapper industries, you know, it's had a bad deal over it for years. They might look a bit messy, but you know, the oldest recycling industry, and you know, it's big business in this area.
Hopefully it'll get better and more things will be recycled. That's what's needed after all.
Recycling has got a bit of future.
They had that big skip outside Town Hall for you to take your waste paper to. I mean, who the hell is going to come from outskirts carrying a load of paper which is heavy to there?
If they're really interested in recycling the stuff, they've got to get it down to the grassroots, who are back to the houses, the people's houses, where the rubbish is.
Now, the Blue Box scheme is a pilot scheme which is literally aimed at the collection and separation of domestic refuse. It doesn't include everything, and it's really 4 basic parts. Newspaper, not magazines or other paper refuse. Glass, tin and plastic. And they do collect it every week, at the same time, nearly always. To my surprise, it was girls that collected it, and we found that our biggest personal refuse is plastic, which surprised me. If you didn't want to participate, that was it, you know, you must let them know. And all in all, when I've spoken to other people of all ages, they've all agreed it's a very good idea.
To being about 14 when we cleaned the town hall, I actually thought that every building in Sheffield was built from black stone.
I think it's important to preserve green areas in inner cities, and I think that we should have easily accessible natural areas for city dwellers to enjoy and appreciate.
From anywhere in Sheffield on a bus ride, you can be in Derbyshire in 10 minutes.
I know some people go out into Derbyshire, which is great, and we do that frequently, but I think a lot of people don't realise how much is just on their doorsteps, there for the looking at. The problem we've got now is that the woods haven't been managed since before the turn of the century, and there's a lot of mature trees that are reaching maturity together and in fact are beginning to decay and fall. Because of the high beech trees, the ground is very shaded. There's a large canopy, which means that the flowers can't come through. We also, of course, if we lose the flowers, we lose the insects and the butterflies that feed on them. At the beginning it may be fairly expensive in the initial stages because it will involve sort of a certain amount of big trees coming down, basically to make them safe. But from that time onwards, once the initial work has been done, a lot of the work could be handed over to local groups. Obviously local groups can do litter picks, litter clearances of the small things, but we need the help of the City Council really to keep the larger litter problem at bay. We are so lucky with so many green spaces, and it's something that people who visit the area always comment on. And if we lose them, well, I don't think our children will thank us in the future.
I'm sure that throughout Sheffield there is a local group of interested, active people who actually you could go to and join with and form a nucleus of people who could go out there and improve your local area. If there isn't a group, I'm quite positive that there are people in that area who will be willing to join with you and do something positive for your environment. For the last 6 years, children have been coming down, sometimes once every 2 weeks, sometimes at less frequent intervals, planting trees, planting wildflowers, turfing the banks of the pond. We've put bulrushes in, brought frog spawn. We've done actually, we brought in over the years, we brought a great deal of life back to, you could say, an old rubbish dump.
The look of a building may be important to some people, but it's more important to have easy access for everybody. The Odeum is particularly bad because it's on the first floor, as you may know, and it's a huge flight of steps. It's quite impossible to get up there, there's no elevator. So it's out for me.
The Ruskin is quite good because it shows that what can be done with even an old building that can be adapted to take wheelchairs and the like. Maybe if they set a target of, say, 5 years to make all buildings, public buildings in Sheffield accessible to the disabled, starting with the most commonly used.
We were moved from slums, old houses, no hot water, no bathroom, no indoor toilet, and when we were allocated one of them flats, we thought we were millionaires by having hot water, a bath, toilet indoors, you know. It were great.
You come home at night, you don't be dropped by a taxi at the back because it's so dark and so dirty.
What they should have done a few years ago is just demolish Old Block, because they've always had problems on Hyde Park with ants and insects, and they can never get to the bottom on it.
It should be pulled down, because, I mean, this day and age now, they're building a lot of new houses, and I don't think the council to say to us that's been in these flats for 21 years, well, there's quite a few still on, to give us chance of a house. You ought to see Stannington flats. They're great now. They've done a great job on them.
If you can do restoration work of that kind and make them into, usable going concerns, I think that's really good.
There's a hell of a lot of empty buildings here in Sheffield, and they're not used. They could convert them or something, so you don't necessarily have to build totally new, just like recycled buildings.
Greasborough Road Action Group started in about February, March last year, when a group of the residents got together to discuss worries about the street, the environment and the state of the houses. There was a lot of mess. We've had a lot of clearing up done. Infestation of mice and rats, we've had that cleared. The water supply was very brown. We've had that sorted out. Trouble with drains and sewers, they've been cleared and sorted out. Initially, we contacted the council, the Lower Don Valley Forum and the Tinsley Forum for help. We were told initially that there was absolutely no chance of Greasborough Road being included in the enveloping schemes, but we carried on, and eventually they agreed to envelope the houses, and the councils since then have been very, very supportive to us. We are campaigning to try and get Greasborough Road cordoned off at the end of the residential area, an alternative access to the industrial estate for the lorries.
The big lorries parked at corner at the bottom of the street, and cars can't come round. It makes it difficult for the cars, but the double yellow lines are there, and plus at the top of the street they've got signs up now, no lorry parking, or there's a fine of £50. And lately we haven't seen no lorries, so that's helped a lot. Because sometimes lorries park up, and at 4 o'clock in the morning they just come juggling down, waking everybody up.
We're having talks at the moment with the SDC, and we're hoping to be able to close off the end of Greesborough Road and possibly build a children's play area there. As we said, there are a large number of children in the area, and there are no facilities at all without going under the subways and across a busy main road. So we're hoping to get a play area available here for them.
You need an action group because, you know, you clap with both hands, and an individual person, I don't think, could do that. Don't give up. Right, go to the meetings, just push them and push them and push them, and you'll get results.
In Sheffield we would like more litter bins, less traffic, more green spaces, good designs for buildings, more trees!
Just being aware isn't good enough. They need to do something as well.